Welcome back to Human Design Mastery. It's part 2 of our webinar on the 2027 shift and my ability to infect you, contagiate you with the human design system for self-management success. It is time for you to learn how to lead yourself, particularly when it comes to career and business is my focus for this next 2-hour session. The keys to your genetic potential, to unlock your genetic potential. This particular class today is going to be about working remotely, especially for those of you who like to work at home in your own aura, doing your own thing, being in charge, your own boss, so to speak. Now, that's not as easy as it might seem. Many of us are designed to work differently, very differently than being homogenized in either a small or large grouping. So the first class free of Human Design Mastery to help you know yourself for self-management transformation. This is the key. And determining your comfort level of working remotely is the first step. So when we say remote, telecommuting, dating myself back in the day, when no one else is around. So by phone, by internet, creatively all by yourself, where there's no one else physically around, that can be a bit of a difficulty. Those of you who were locked down, anybody else in the lockdown area of the world where they told you social distancing and you can't go into work and the schools were closing and the businesses were closing and going out of business because they were not able to continue working. And that's one of the things, the separation that this new 2027 era is bringing. So I'm going to give you and analyze with you some charts that will help you understand, looking at your own, how that might land as far as the problem and the solution that I'm going to give you based on a human design chart. So this is a bit more advanced. This is, you could say, level 2 of Human Design Mastery. The very first class that we did or course was personal success. So I'm going to continue on with that in business. When we're working in partnership, that's one thing. When we're working in a small group, physically, that's another. Call that penta. And when we're looking at a large group, 10 to 16 people, those are different mechanics as well. We use different keynotes there. So today I'm going to be focusing on just working alone in your own aura, sovereign and free. Now, because, it sounds really nice, but because some of us are not designed best to work alone, we have some challenges. And I'll be describing that as I go through these examples. And of course, some solutions. Strategy and authority is always going to be your most important key. If you don't know what that is yet, mybodygraph.com will be able to help you understand how to use your genetic codes, your blueprint. You could say this is a body graph and it's also a career map. So being able to understand why this is key is because when we're working remotely, there are certain challenges that arise depending upon your design. And there is quite a difference when you are operating in alignment. To have the abundance in great disguise is one of the things that I want to help you find in your body graph. So I'm going to give you some work strategies depending on your type. It's called comparative analysis, according to Ra. I like to call them success situations because these are different situations that you're going to find yourself in, solo or working remotely, in partnership, small or large teams. And so we're going to be focusing primarily again on remote today. So learning this information that I'm going to teach you can help protect you. It helps protect you from getting sold to, lost in homogenization or in conditioning. As an example, today we have 2 centers that are defined because of the transits. There is currently, because of the global frequency, this whole entire channel of money, honey. So the money line, as Rob would call it. So that means then that the heart center and the throat center, so biologically, the throat happens to be about your thyroid and your parathyroid system. It's about communication, manifestation, action, And when we look at the motor of the heart center, or some people call it the ego center as well, if that is connected directly to the throat, it may seem like you have to prove yourself, that you have to lord it over, or maybe you're subjected to the powers that be. It has to do with the self-esteem issues, and there's a lot of biological correspondences in this heart center. It can be so much about control issues when it comes to this particular channel. So trying desperately to prove your worth, your worthiness, trying to own or possess or have more in order to prove that you can take space in this world. So knowing that the transit is bringing that in, knowing that you happen to be maybe susceptible to the conditioning, it's one of the things that helps your mind be aware of what is there, what's happening, what's actually happening. That isn't something that you have to make a decision because of. Okay, so on that side, we have the conditioning. Okay, conditioning, not good, bad, right, wrong, simply is what it is. And conditioning can be flipped on its head, turned on its side, turned on its ear, and turned into wisdom potential. It helps you align your work to your life's purpose if you can get over the adaptive conditioned strategies. Okay, this is what conditioning is. Your mind, it's trying to do the best that it can to help you get through some of the most difficult times of your life. But when you're using your mind to make decisions, unfortunately, you don't get the money. You don't get the freedom of having the things that move through you not be identified by you as something that you have to pay attention to, do something because of. And the moment that you can stop operating from conditioning and just see it for what it is, this is where we get the wisdom potential, okay? And the wisdom potential specifically, especially when you look down at your body graph and you see line 3s in those line qualities when it comes to living out the fullest experience and expression of your wisdom potential, those are your primary money receptors, okay? So that's the thing that I covered in personal success. That's not today, but just so you know, if you want to learn this information, 2 ways you can learn about it from myself and Ra Uruhu. We have at mybodygraph.com a personal success analysis that is included with this program, or you can buy it separately. It helps you understand your profitability or your profit centers. Look down at your body graph. Any open centers, white, not colored in, those are your profit centers. If you imagine your body graph as a business, it's where you're here to make money. Okay, so more about that in personal success. Today, we're going to talk about leveraging technology and your body graph. Now, the allure of remote work lies in the freedom it offers individuals to manage their schedules. I know for me, myself personally, I absolutely adore working from home. I have rented offices or gone to different places in the last 13 years of my career working with human design for business, especially in the last decade. And I can tell you that being in other people's aura, their frequency, isn't what's best for me. I've learned that the hard way. Also, too, working for someone else, when they're lording it over you and telling you what to do, it's not fun, is it? Not necessarily pretty, depending on how you may react or abreact. So what happens now, because of the background frequency, I explained to you on Monday how separation is one of the keys, and you see that all around. We looked over the statistics. With the workforce spread across the globe, coordinating schedules can become a challenging task for yourself and for companies if you happen to run one. So it's really a crucial thing to do to establish clear guidelines and use tools, systems, tips and tricks and techniques. When it comes to working on different teams, we've experimented with a lot of different ways. Personally, for me, I like to use Telegram and Trello. For LaVeena Archive, we use a lot of the Google management system and also a tool called Mattermost in order to communicate. So when you're working either for yourself or with others, finding the right technology, and generally these communication guidelines, you want to make sure that you are doing the thing that's right for you to do, whatever tool or technique that you're using to communicate. So What happens when you're on a remote team? So whether you're working for yourself or you're just, maybe a 1099, what happens to us is that we may experience a sense of disconnection because there's the absence of the water cooler conversation, spontaneous conversations that are typical for in-office settings. Do you remember that? The water cooler, as far as any lunch break rooms too that you might have happened to be a part of. You don't get that, not when you're working remotely. So you don't get the connective field. Now, it does a lot of things for people when it comes to different ways in which we are designed, either through type or definition. And there are other factors too that I'm going to go over with you. Some of this is going to be review for those of you who are in personal success or went through the previous free master classes that we've gone through. So hopefully it'll help sink it in for you more deeply. To address the potential gap when it comes to the communications, the spontaneous conversations, ensure that crucial updates or decisions that originate from informal office discussions are effectively communicated to everyone on the team. Or if you have an employee or employees, to all employees. Because if you don't, then people feel disconnected. They don't feel like they're really on the team or part of the team. They feel like they're in the dark. There are assumptions that are made. The most dangerous assumption is that, oh yeah, I talked to her or him or they. I talked to them, I told them, but when you're just texting, it's not communicated in the same way. You may assume that the person is on board or on the same wavelength, and yet it's not really. And I'm just as guilty, as in this happens to me too sometimes, when you're going a little bit too quickly, you've got a lot on your mind, you've got a lot on your plate, it happens. So to do your best to establish guidelines on messaging rules, especially when it comes to how you would prefer to hear things. So my students who take classes with me, they know I would prefer to hear their frequency, and they have permission to message me with audios so that I can hear them physically. That makes all the difference for someone like me who has a lot of fives in her design, fifth colors, fifth tones, line qualities, or sorry, individuality, which is very much about frequency. So I get more data from you if I can hear you, which is why in my private courses, I allow people to communicate. In fact, I ask and encourage them to ask questions, to come and enjoy the conversation. So whatever your preferred methods of delivery, I just educated you on mine. I like to hear people. It will help enhance the information dissemination. Now, the other thing that I prefer is to know ahead of time what it is that we're going to be talking about because of the way that my mind is configured. I like to be prepared. I like to have time to feel into and look into your body graph too, to research into the time frame of life that you're in, the life cycles, because that makes a big difference. Whether you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, or 60s and beyond, we can look at the effect of transits, which is, in some terms, good conditioning, absolutely necessary to fulfill your life's work when it comes to the large life cycles. It's part of your path. It's part of your purpose. It's part of your unfolding. Okay, so when I work with people, I prefer to go deep and to have a nice long conversation, which spans some weeks. And that's why you see me co-creating programs that I have been working with. So we're going to, again, start with work success secrets, starting with type. If you have questions, feel free to chat amongst yourself, or if you really want to bring the conversation to me and have me answer you particularly in the Q&A box, I will need you to be very detailed. Please don't do 3 or 4 messages because other messages come in between yours and I won't be able to see all of it. Do 1 message and your question, okay? I won't look at your charts today, but if you give me basic, big, high-level questions, I most likely will be able to answer you and help clarify things for you. So what's your form? I'm going to begin, as we always do, with the body. The body is the life. This frequency, this vibrating eminence of what it is to be you, sovereign and free, to experience the life purpose, the life work, the signature of success, accordingly with your type, is the aim and goal. When you are operating correctly, you get exactly what's right for you. materially, no more, no less. So we'll begin by looking through each of the types and look down at your body graph, please. If you think that you are a separate type, a manifesting generator is a generator, okay? It is not manifested in the same way that a manifestor is, okay? So there are 4 basic types, and each one of these over here, these 3, they have subtypes. A manifesting generator is the type that sprung out of the reflector way back in the day, before there were types, truly. We had the reflective type, very open, very in touch with nature. Then we had the manifesting generator, out of which sprung the manifestor and the generator. Okay, and then we had in 1781 the mutation of the projector. Now, we're going to begin with looking at how all of these work together. The manifestor, get things started. They're here to initiate. Without manifestors, we would not have the human design system because Ra manifested it out into the world. Generators then provide the energy to pick it up, work with it. They're responding. They're creators. They're builders. The projector is designed to advise and guide, most specifically and particularly, one person at a time. That's the best way that their projector energy penetrates. It's the only way, one person at a time at the end of the day. And then we have the reflector, and they're like human barometers of what the environmental context happens to be. So we'll go into each of these most particularly and specifically. A generator, when it comes to remote work, that means working at home alone in your own aura. My asking of you, because you are designed to be asked, is, do you have others to ask you questions so that you can gauge a response? Obviously, if you're at home alone working in your own aura, you're going to need to use technology to get that to happen. So using, if you can you use or have you a coach? Maybe you have a mentor, projector. Maybe you have a consultant that you hire. Maybe there's mastermind groups because you do well with groups. Or maybe there's an app that you can use to schedule coordination. As in, let's say you've got gate 5 like me. This is fixed patterns. What's better for you physically is to have a pattern to your day, rather than if you have the gate 15 to have the extremes and to just kind of go your own way. When you have a gate 5, it's better to have a set schedule. So the scheduling of your environment, your life, your work can be very helped by having some kind of timer. So for me, what I do is I have timers for almost everything that's really important that helps me to remember to do the things that allow me to move my needle forward towards my goals, the projects, the things that I am happily doing. But I also take time for, life gives you a left curveball or whatever it happens to be, or somebody around the house may need you. Of course, that can also disrupt your productivity too. So we remain and keep our flexibility, yet we make sure that when it comes to the most important things that we follow our authority. And for you, 2 things. It can either be your response in the moment, you have that red sacral center colored in, or your emotional. And that means you need some time to feel into things. So a generative being, you see any one of those channels, the life force is in the channels, your consistency, your fixedness, your job description is in that channel as far as what you're here to respond to. Okay, so what is it in you that's going to feel satisfied when you go ahead and do in response? These are the things that are right for you to do. So by knowing thyself, by getting analyses, by learning about the most important thing, you can fulfill the highest path and purpose of what this body, being, and even the soul imprinting came here to do in this life. And that's what's most satisfying for you. We're going to come back to the openness after I've finished all the types. Now, with the projector, when it comes to working remotely, unfortunately, this can be quite difficult to do. Is it right for you, first, the most important thing is to master a system of guidance? Okay, however it is that that system, you can learn to make money off of it by being or having systems mastery. One of the reasons why I call this program Human Design Mastery is because in order to get to that place of mastery, you have to learn, you have to implement or be able to practice and experiment. It is part of the stream that creates mastery. I have two activations within that stream. And that's one of the things that can create the transformation that will bring a projector to success. Then, once you have systems mastery of whatever it happens to be, usually it's helping others in their business or in their work, guiding others. But it might be something else, that you eventually create a course or some kind of class or book or way of being able to turn what you know into the way that you guide others to their success. Can you position yourself then, once you've had system mastery, as a trusted advisor, working with others in partnership, as in they can come to you for guidance, you can help them course correct or whatever it happens to be that's in your design, and then off they go. And you don't have to do the work because you're here to see big picture view, okay, depending on what your design is showing you and what you're seeing and recognizing to be able to guide the other to do. Now, projected channels, there are the most projected channels in the body graph as far as type. You recall that we saw the generator channels, okay, all lit up, anything that touched that red sacral square to light it up. Anything else outside of these three channels, which are direct manifestation, all of these are projected, okay? Now, when it comes to these projected channels, they have to operate through recognition. Recognition is a two-way street. Most people, when you learn HD from somebody who has not been taught, most people ignore the recognition part and just wait for the invitation part. I'm waiting to be invited, waiting to be invited. Oh, they invited me. And you move into action rather than using your authority and ensuring that the recognition is mutual. And this is where you get into a lot of trouble, projector, because you're so eager to be seen. I remember what that was like. Okay, so there are several different types of projector. We're looking at three. Okay, so we have non-energy projectors, we have energy projectors, and then we also have just mental projectors, just the stuff colored in from the throat to the head. We learn more about that in personal success. Already been there for those of you who have signed up for leadership success because it is included. Now, manifestors, accordingly with your type, you are here to initiate. And when it comes to remote work, you're here to get the ball rolling. And in order to do so, you inform those who are impacted by your actions, by your initiations, the thing that you create in this world that you can initiate. Your aura is dense and it has impact. Now, you are an undefined sacral being, just like the projector was. Generators are sacral beings. Delegate anything off your plate so that you have freedom of an action to initiate, to accomplish other things that you want to impact the world with in peace. And from the manifestors that I have worked with, most of the time they get to that place, they're lucky especially, where they can see the difference that it makes to surround themselves with the right people who allow them to be free to be themselves. And this is the most important key for the manifestor. When it comes to manifesting, there are multiple ways that this can show up in somebody's body graph. You can have direct manifestation, and each one of these centers are different kinds of authoritative processes. We go over that in the Personal Success series. When it comes to being a manifestor through projected types, that's a different thing. You see the energy bringing it up to manifestation. This is one of the ways that, where this is the way that Ra was defined, as far as he was an ego manifestor with splenic authority. So he had the spontaneous gumption to go at it and do the thing, just get it done, the great doers, before Ra created the words of the different auric types. In the beginning, it was just the doers, manifestors, and the rest were waiters, as in waiting, to be initiated by the manifestor, by life. Now, if energy does reach the throat, it has an impact, but it's reaching the throat through projected channels. So there are recognition capacities there for these beings who are aware. Now, the reflector, not the least important, definitely very important. We're going to have probably some difficulty always in their own aura working remotely. Reason being is that they're best in larger groupings. So is it right for your reflector to take advantage of a larger group for the energy? Maybe you do co-working if you're at home alone in your own aura. Maybe there's networking events, the library, cafe, marketplaces. Depends on the way that you're designed to interact quite truly and really. So feel or wait through your lunar cycle and see if there's something there for you that life initiates you to be a part of. Because waiting for the initiation of your lunar process, reflectors are very, very different creatures. Their body graphs are not empty. It's full of wisdom. And every single one of those hanging gate activations gets lit up by the moon like clockwork every month in a particular pattern. So one of the things, the keys that Ra would give you, reflector, is to see if you can create and leverage intellectual property, because you're a non-energy type. So being able to utilize intellectual property to take advantage of your wisdom potential is one of your keys to material success, if it's right for you, whenever it's right for you to do. So reflective channels, please look down at your body graph, everybody. Do you see any white channels, completely white, in your body graph? Guess what? You have a reflected channel. That does not make you a reflector. So I'm going to dispel one of the myths. If you've got your body graph in any kind of software and you see just the conscious personality versus the design, and you see that it's all white, you are not a personality reflector nor a design reflector, because the types have to be read through both activations on the conscious personality, your soul imprint, and the design, the body is a life. They have to be read together. So you're not a personality reflector if you see it open. It does mean, though, that you have a lot of variability, a lot of openness, a lot of inconsistency mentally or physically. So the reflector, you would think, this person, my God, so vulnerable. No, they have a dense Teflon aura, and each one of the types has a specific frequency. The chemistry of you aligned to your path and purpose. And what happens to be with the reflector is surprise. The projector, it's success. Now, the success is about the recognition to help the other know themselves. It's not about you knowing yourself too. No, it's not. The projector and the reflector are non-energy types. What that means is, sometimes people call them awareness types. That's not to say that generators and manifestors cannot be aware. Please understand, there is no comparison, nothing to compare. Every individual is utterly unique. This typing system of understanding the auric frequency and the compatibility and the relational dynamics simply gives us a strategy, okay? Strategy, and the authority comes from not only type, but also whatever activations and definitions happen to be in the body graph. The side where we have energy, generators and manifestors are energy types. Generators can respond in order to build our society, our businesses, our lives in a satisfying way. That's their signature. That's their frequency. Correct aligned frequency. Manifestors, these are people who are designed to be able to operate in peace. How many manifestors do you know that are angry? not peaceful. Very different frequency. So, what is your type? If you are generated and you're frustrated, you're off track. What to do? Experiment with you, your ability to wait for a response mechanism and operate from that in order to find what's satisfying for you. Because if you keep on initiating through the frustration, you're just going to get more of the same. It's kind of like if you're a manifester and you're really angry, you're running around rageful. What are you going to get? People running from you or pushback, getting right, angry right back in your face. So it makes sense, yeah, not to try and initiate from frustration or anger, or for the projector, bitterness, for the reflector, disappointment. Those are signposts that you're off track. Okay, so if you're more on the off track side, you really need to learn to experiment with your human design. And you have to wait to clarify all of these years of initiating out of integrity from your mind, which you think is doing you a favor, but it's not. It's not. Now, when it comes to remote work, manifestors are more comfortable. They are way more comfortable because they're not group people. They're not small group people. They're not large group people. They can get used by the group, but as far as their freedom of action, groups constrain, restrain, they change you. They can smother you. It depends on your design too. All of you, everyone. But some people are more likely to be comfortable in groups, and that happens to be the generator. They're less comfortable in remote work then because they're more comfortable depending on partnership or group, depending on their design particulars. When it comes to remote work, projectors, less productive. Have you noticed? It's a little bit harder to get up the energy to be productive. You do not have to be as productive, but there is a certain level of advice and guidance that must be had by others in order for you to get your success. Remember, success is the frequency for the other, and that's how you get your success too. Reflector is not going to be very comfortable alone at home in your own aura all day long. You might have noticed. You noticed that? How's this landing? Recognizing? Okay.